welcome you all to our another weekly Palo Alto Research Lab call. So we are continuing our quest in connecting brilliant minds into a thoughtful community, collecting brilliant engineers, CEOs, and venture capitals into one super community. So myself is going to be holding this meeting. My name is Ivan, and Malika is also helping me out to do so. So yeah, if you're first time here, we usually hold such calls every week. So yeah, you can stay tuned with us by filling out the form, receive latest information about our Palo Alto Research Lab calls and upcoming events. So Malika, we can share that in the chat. So yeah, as I said before in one of our last calls, so we slightly changed the format, and just reminding you guys, we got 5 to 7 minutes to present a pitch deck, and from 10 to 15 minutes to answer the questions. And you can ask your questions by raising your hand or putting your thoughts in the chat, so we'll read it out loud, no problem. So yeah, we got 2 projects presenting the pitch deck, and the first one would be Serhiy, CEO at Hackless, so Hackless.io project, and the second one would be MySTANDARD and presenting Adam. So yeah, the order is as follows. And yeah, Malika, if you have something to add, you can go ahead. Otherwise, yeah, let's start with Serhiy and passing the mic. Okay.
Yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. Again, thank you everyone for inviting to this pitch session. My name is Serhiy. I'm CEO at Hackless. Hackless is a blockchain cybersecurity project. It's actually a robust platform that enhances the security of DeFi protocols, shielding them from potential hacks and malicious attacks, while also safeguarding individual users' assets from potential loss caused by hacks or scams. For example, in the last 3 years, DeFi has lost almost $9 billion due to different types of hacks. For example, even in the last year, that was not really good or, let's say, active for crypto. Hacks lead to $1.4 billion in loss, and more than 600 million of loss were caused by rug pulls or phishing attacks. In this regard, our part of this market could lead up to $1 billion of assets that we can help to save for individuals and for projects, and thus our revenue could lead up to $50 million due to the fees. Generally, our journey started in 2021. We won a Lisbon hackathon with our MVP solution that helped to withdraw assets from compromised protocol without any risk of losing funds due to attack or exploit of this smart contract. And we decided to make it something more bigger than just MVP solution and create a Hackless project. In 2022, we have raised initial funds on a seed round investment. We have raised $1.2 million from different VC funds like DAOmaker, Kojima Capital, Black Dragon, and several other funds. We started development of our products that can help to protect the users and projects from hacks. As far as we don't have much time for pitch, I will just generally describe all the benefits of every solution. Sentinel, this is what we have currently in beta testing stage. It helps protecting smart contracts of projects from potential hacks and exploits from outside. For this, we monitor the mempool, detect the potential harmful transaction, and prevent it by sending contributor transaction. It's much more effective than ordinary audits because audits are made one time, and it doesn't guarantee that the smart contract after audit is 100% protected from any vulnerabilities. While in our case, we monitor the mempool all the time and provide active protection all the time for the project. We don't need to integrate it into the code. We make it all on our side with no need of project to be involved in the process of protection. That's basically how it works, the flow of the product. The second product that we have is a wallet rescue. It helps individuals saving their assets from compromised wallets. For example, when user have a wallet, it was compromised, but user still have some staking assets or wasting tokens that are connected to this compromised wallet. So with our solution, he can safely withdraw them without any risk of being grabbed by the hacker. All the same, there is no need to provide any credentials for us. User make it in this case. User make all the safe operations by himself. With this solution, we have already saved 700,000 is a bit out of date information. For now, we have saved more than 1.3 million with our solution for our users, and that's at the beginning of let's say the bull market. So the main revenues will come when bull market will raise more. And anti-sandwich solution, it's according to its name, it helps protecting users from sandwich attacks during swaps on DEX market. This is the scheme how it works. If it's more interesting for you to know it in details, I can describe it later, or in individual call, or in Telegram, for example. It also has a B2B part because we have a library that can be integrated to different websites or applications, and our anti-sandwich solution can be worked on B2B part, not only as a B2C solution. And regarding our token, because we are raising investments for tokens, this is a token distribution. The utility of our token will be a subscription for our services, or payment method, or discount for payment for our services. Totally, we are planning to sell on public and private rounds a bit more than 20% of the whole amount of tokens. The general amount of investments that we want to raise on 3 rounds is a bit less than 5 million. Currently, we have, as I have already mentioned, we have raised the initial investments in 2022 on seed round. Right now, we have started the private round of investments for funds and individual investors. And later this quarter, we are planning to make a public sale. And after public sale, it will be a TG event. Our token have the same vesting schedules for all round participants. It will be a 10% initially unlocked after TG. After that, 3 months cliff and 2-year vesting. This is information about participants of our seed round. I have already told this. This is our team. Actually, our company is incorporated in United Kingdom, but we also have a team in Ukraine, in Portugal, in Canada, in Poland. So quite a diversified team. Yep, maybe that's all about Hackless, about what we are doing. If you have any questions about us, please feel free to ask.
You said it was a 5 million raise. At what valuation, this current private round? And what about the previous seed round from 2022? What were the valuations? Got it.
Valuation for seed round was $16 million dollars. For private round, it's $20 million. For public round is $24 million.
There is a question about tokenomics. Alex is asking, could you please share your detailed tokenomics?
Well, here it is. What exactly he is interested about? This is distribution of the tokens. Total amount of tokens for selling is 24%. Also, we have a vesting schedule for the token. For public and private round, the schedule vesting is the vesting schedule is the same. For other allocations like partners, team, and so on, it will be a bit different, and of course worse than for public round investors and private round investors.
Let me clarify the question if possible. Yeah. So actually, do you have any Excel file just to understand the full diluted market cap of your token and initial market cap, and just to prognose the possible price behavior after the listing? Okay, and what are the terms of participation in the private round?
Okay, yes. Initially, there will be like 900,000 of tokens available for selling, for circulation. But it also includes 400,000 for liquidities that we will add to DEX market and to TEX market. Regarding private round conditions, we have $1 million to raise with the price of the token $1 per token, so it will be 1 million of tokens to distribute, with a valuation of $20 million, the total valuation of the project. And currently we already have several applications for private round, so there are something like 400,000 left undistributed. So that's the current conditions for private round. Personal cap for investor is 100,000, but it is discussable, and we raise investment according to SAFT agreement.
Okay, we've got a raised hand. So Priscilla, go ahead.
I know you said IDO will be coming soon. Do you have like a projected date for TGE?
Actually not. It's open date because initially we want to close this private round, and after we close the private round, we move to preparation for public round, and of course for TG.
Okay.
But preliminary, it's mid quarter 2 of this year.
Okay, is this an ERC20 token?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be on BSC chain. It will be deployed on.
So
following up on Priscilla's question, do you have any specific launch and list token strategy as far as target or confirmed launch pads, money market makers, exchanges and stuff? Have you opened a dialogue or have any direction there?
Yeah, we have already spoke maybe up to 15 different launchpad platforms, starting from top tier and some no-name launchpad platforms, including Citify. Citify, of course, not a no-name. It's one of top tier, including Citify, DAOmaker, and several others. But we haven't made the final decision yet about with whom we are going to launch the public sale. Our general vision of launchpad strategy will be distribution of the token on one top tier launchpad and two less tier platforms. Regarding the exchanges, we already in negotiation with Gate, Huobi, KuCoin, MXC regarding initial listing. But all the same, we want to close a private round and be in a more powerful position regarding negotiation of listing on SEC.
What's the amount of the public round, by the way, if you're splitting that 3 ways?
Amount of the public round currently in dollars is $2.46 million. Okay. And you're thinking you'll split that up between 1 top tier and 2 lower tiers? Yes, that's the plan. Okay. Pretty big allocations. Okay. All right. You might want to talk to. Initially we negotiated with DAOmaker regarding the public sale of the token, and they wanted to sell more than 3 million of tokens for us. Oh wow! Yeah, but we decided that that's too much for them for one launchpad for one platform. We decreased a bit amount for public sale and for launchpad platforms.
Thanks, Peter. There are some questions in the chat as well. What reasons pushed you to use BSC?
That's quite an interesting question. The idea of using BSC for our token was maybe 2 years ago when we raising funds during seed round. So there were no. So a BSC on that time was pretty attractive for launching the token due to lower commissions, lower fees, and lots of users in that network. But of course, currently there are more networks where we can launch our token. I mean, deploy. But all the same, after we deploy it on BSC, there will be definitely bridges to other chains. So BSC won't be the only chain where our token will be distributed.
Also, there are discussions about BSC20 or ERC, and but
I think it's already covered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry. He just clarified that. He's going on BSC, so BRC 20. Thank you.
But anyway, BSC is EVM-based chain, so there is no big difference in code base of ERC or BSC 20 tokens. So, yeah.
And yeah, also, I believe there was a previous question left unanswered, or maybe I'm mistaken, but anyways, the valuation is pre-money, right? So please share financial projections as well. So it was from Apina Singh. Yeah.
I think that it would be better than if I share a link to our tokenomics with all the vesting schedules, all the token unlocks and valuations in the chat. Then I will describe it by myself because visualization is much more better. It's in Excel table, so it will be much easier to understand it.
Okay, so no problem, absolutely. So yeah, we can wrap this up, I guess, right? So Sergio, thanks again for your amazing pitch. It was a pleasure. And we can proceed with the next project that we have on schedule. So yeah, we got MySTANDARD IO representing CEO Adam Zach. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for time for providing the pitch.
Adam?
Hey everybody.
Hey there.
Hey yo. All right, let me just share my screen over here. However, I tend to sometimes not scroll through it and just chat. So we'll see how this goes. Hi everybody. Well, it's a pleasure to speak with you all today. I know that time is a little limited, so I'm going to start with a story. Today, LinkedIn is the #1 talent acquisition platform, followed by Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, and a whole host of others. What we have decided to do is do an all-out assault on talent acquisition as it is known today. We're doing it on both sides of the marketplace, and we're doing it in a Web3 decentralized infrastructure. We are a use case for Web3 that no one's ever seen before, no one's ever done before. We're not being chased, and we're not chasing anybody. These are important things to keep in mind because we're building a company and a software platform. We're not just trying to get something out for the bull market. We've been around for 3 years, building, architecting, validating, talking to organizations, talking to clients, getting partners in place to do something that we all believe has the potential for outside of Web3 implications that are far bigger than the Web3 implications inside. We're a decentralized data marketplace, elegantly, where people can download an iOS or Android app, store their information, it encrypts it, stores it decentrally, and it creates that and puts that person into a state that they've never been before most of the time, which is being a Web3 user. So like my mom can download the Android or iOS app today, make a profile, store her information, and be ready to receive data requests. Organizations will query this database and say, hey, who on this platform is a fit for my job? Users will share their information with that person and in real time get paid for it, in real time have their data unlocked and shown to the organization. And so this is a very easy way for people to store their information and put it to work. And if you think about LinkedIn today, what do we have with LinkedIn? We have a platform where we give them all of our information. We don't know who's looking at us. We don't know what jobs they're looking at us for. We don't know what jobs we were passed up on. And for the privilege of our information being shared with that organization, we see the organization pays LinkedIn, right? We don't see a dime of the data, the value that our data fuels. LinkedIn is about a $10 to $15 billion yearly organization revenue, and that's 100% built off the backs of our data. And people have had to give up our data for years. Like, it is kind of the natural progression of things, right? The Internet 1.0 was clunky and was only used by like universities and government agencies. Internet 2.0 came along and it said, hey, let's make those user interfaces and value that people can now, at their home, at their fingertips get from. And the cost for using these services was you had to give them your data. They had to learn everything about you, and then they resold it, repackaged it, and refined their advertising models to engage with you in new and different ways in order for you to utilize all these services. MySTANDARD is an assault on that entire model because we create a marketplace that gives both parties the autonomy to decide if they're a fit for one another before there's a connection made. And then we incentivize people to connect with organizations by providing a token incentive, but we don't force them to. If someone wants to stay anonymous and not engage with an organization, they can say no. And the power to say no is something we just don't have today. And so MySTANDARD is aiming to disrupt talent acquisition by giving candidates like incentives to engage by themselves directly to organizations and store their information with themselves, not with us or not with a third party. And then organizations are actually going to be able to query this database and only pay for what they get, and instantly receive information from candidates who are interested in engaging. And this opens up all sorts of different use cases and models. But that's a quote from someone who actually read our white paper and messaged me. He said, "This is literally an all-out assault on talent acquisition," and I love those lines because I do believe that that's what we're doing. So I'm Adam Zek. I'm the CEO and co-founder of MySTANDARD. I was actually not like a blockchain native person. I probably got into blockchain about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. Maybe that makes me an OG in this space. I feel aged from it, that's for sure. But for 14 years, I did talent acquisition consulting with Fortune 50 companies. So I would sit with them, listen to what their problems are in the space, and help them triage and solve them. A multitude of problems. And this allowed me to have an incredible network of organizations that are going to be utilizing our token in the early days to engage with people. So how does this work? For those of you who are not involved in talent acquisition, I'll first kind of give you an idea why hiring is so broken. Because I want to start with we're a non-Web3 use case, right? We're building for something that's not going to live and die within the walls of Web3. It's going to outlive this space. And so we needed to disrupt this marketplace, and this has happened naturally. Hiring is broken because the current tools miss key populations of candidates. Simply put, like if you're a truck driver, the number one most sought after role in the United States, you're driving your truck. You don't have time to make a LinkedIn profile, nor is it the really appropriate space for you. And you're not going to go on Indeed or Monster and try to find a new job. It's really hard to engage with certain types of talent because of how busy we are. So MySTANDARD is an app you sign up for, and then we find you, right? We're connecting you with opportunities. We are not the app you use to find a job. We are the app used to never miss out on a better job, to never miss out on a shorter commute, to never miss out on a better title or better pay. And that's going to be our go-to-market brand when we launch. Hiring is very expensive. So even though companies in the Fortune 500 are spending on average $4.5 million on infrastructure, teams, and tools, they still have to spend 60% more than that on staffing agencies. The staffing agencies deliver high fidelity data with speed, which is literally what MySTANDARD is aiming to do. So we are going to be delivering the data and fidelity and speed of a staffing agency, but at the price point closer to LinkedIn, which is a sweet spot that has never been touched in this market. And the data that they're paying for today is often incomplete and unverified. MySTANDARD has multiple mechanisms and token incentives for verification of your data that will make people's profiles stronger over time while properly incentivizing their use of the platform and the use of the authenticators in the platform as well. Here's our vision. So it's kind of two sides. An equitable job discovery for all candidates. We use zero-knowledge proofs to match people with organizations. And what that allows us to do is abstract all the things from the job search process that would induce bias. Right? Humans are biased creatures. We cannot say we're not biased. We cannot hide our bias. There's no tech-forward way to help recruiters and hiring managers reduce their bias in the process. They always see your name. They always see your face. They always see where you came from. And those things will make people say, because of their bias, not engage with a job seeker about an opportunity that they would have been a fit for. Those things then equal lawsuits. And organizations are constantly looking, and this is actually the inception of MySTANDARD, is because I was helping Johnson & Johnson with an EEOC issue where their hiring managers were weeding out candidates because of bias that were fit for roles, and they were being sued for it. And that was actually one of the first things that started this company. And so we're an equitable job discovery for all candidates because they're being matched in privacy. The organizations only see a number. How many people are on the platform that are a fit for my open position? They engage with those people, and after those people agree to share their information, then the hiring manager will see things like their name, their face, etc. They're more like rich profile information. We're not inventing something new here. This is why dating apps have become popular. The dating app scene flourished once they figured out a way to make it so that nobody ever feels a strong sense of rejection. Because who would use an app for constantly like reaching out to people and getting rejected? Like we would stop using that entire industry. But they figured out the formula of how to make two parties essentially say yes in privacy and then make the connection once they both do. And that's what MySTANDARD is aiming to do for job search. So we are an everyday practical use for blockchain. We are on the front, in order for a person to use the platform, they are going to join the MySTANDARD network. They are going to make a quick profile and register themselves, and then they can receive job data requests. In order for corporations to use this information and access this information, they have to acquire our token, which we will actually facilitate on their behalf. We put that token into a Fireblocks custodied wallet, and then they use the token in the platform in order to engage with candidates. So there's direct tokens buy pressure from organizations to utilize our platform. So when you're thinking about the ramifications of this from a Web3 perspective, there's $130 billion of yearly spend just in talent acquisition, which is our first use case. We're aiming to disrupt over $1 trillion of global data, of data middlemen. But $130 billion just in talent acquisition, where we have strong connections and clients to start off. That would be yearly. So that would be, let's say we disrupt 5% of the market. Right, so that would be $5 billion of consistent sales pressure on our token. That token cannot be sold once it's purchased. It is custodied by us and used in the platform, which is something the SEC has told us they really like about this model. And the implications of this from a crypto perspective is there's a crypto token that's being utilized by corporations real time, constantly and always, that has a direct utility for people and for corporations. So it kind of changes the game on what tokens can be, because the token is going to be this carrot that we offer candidates to interact with organizations. It's a carrot we offer organizations to validate information on people. It's a carrot we offer organizations in order to have some governance on where we spend our marketing, what types of candidates we go after. For candidates, it'll be a governance tool to be able to have them vote on where do we do our philanthropy? What are some of the UI UX implications for the month? What are some features they would like to see? So we're using this token constantly in this platform to increase the amount of interaction between people, us, and corporations in this sort of triangle that kind of goes back and forth. And this is, it's just something that really hasn't been done in this space before. I would like to also talk about a few key differentiators between us and the industry we're disrupting. So staffing agencies, talent acquisition places. There's no financial incentive for people to respond, right? I get LinkedIn emails all the time. I don't respond to any of them. For me, it's very easy to say no because there's no incentive to say yes. So with MySTANDARD, the notification will say, IBM is interested in your data. You have 1 hour to respond. And you also see how many people are they reaching out to and how fast is that bucket filling. The sense of urgency and FOMO this will create in candidates is pretty high. Passive candidates are what organizations need to have a way to connect with, and all the tools today completely miss the mark on getting somebody who's happy in their job to respond to an opportunity. MySTANDARD aims to disrupt that point with an incentive structure we're putting into place. We're creating relationships, not just like sending profiles and database and resumes to people. We're aiming to be the fastest time per hire in the industry. That is the number one metric that recruiters are measured on. If they can fill roles quickly, they look great. Cost per hire is number 2. Our price point is slightly higher than LinkedIn, but extremely low compared to like a staffing agency or any of those types of things. I can open up to questions. We have an AI integration that we're going to be putting into place with generative AI so that organizations have a text box they can enter, tell us what to describe the project. It'll make recommendations on the types of talent they need. It'll connect them with the talent automatically. It'll write the job descriptions for them if they have to. And so there's all these sort of integrations and pieces we could put into place. There's obviously a million things to uncover here, but I can open up to some questions, and obviously we can always talk additionally offline. And last thing I want to state is our white paper was just released, our newest white paper. We have our second version of it, and it literally goes through everything in extreme detail. So if you like to be kind of indoctrinated in all the things we're doing and kind of start to unpack the layer of the onions, that would be a great place to start. And I can obviously share a link to that. I guess you wanted me to kind of start some Q&A, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All
Thanks,
right.
Adam, for
Happy to do so.
informative performance. Okay, so yeah, let's hear out the questions. And we got a raised hand from Priscilla. So yeah, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, real quick. So I understand the utility of the token, which is basically a requirement from what I understand for the organization to actually be able to interact with the platform. You mentioned, which is really, I think it's a friction. It's almost like a barrier for the organization to actually use your product. But you did mention that you will actually facilitate this purchasing. Because this is what I find when it's a B2B product and you have a token, which is the barrier for them to use your product. We see a lot of this with marketplaces, GPU marketplaces. That's like the trend right now. Can you explain to me exactly how you're facilitating? And also my other question to you is, this is just for the organization side. What is the incentive here for user and retails to actually buy the token when it's actually just being locked up via Fireblocks, infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah, so the token is not being locked up for users. It's just being locked up for organizations. If users buy the token, they can hold on to it in a self-custody wallet and trade or do whatever they normally do with it. All the things that crypto tokens normally do. However, we are building there's going to be utility in the token for candidates to actually interact with organizations too. So there's going to be the ability for a candidate to actually reach out to an organization utilizing the token to say, hey, I'm actually really, here's who I am and I would like to work for you someday. So it kind of like highlights their application back to the organization. There's going to be a mechanism called Spotlight where you can pay a certain amount of token to be determined, and it will actually reach out to all organizations who have openings or have had openings recently that have a fit for your type of profile. And it will, for 15 minutes, allow you to have like direct path into them. So it's almost like you're offering up that bounty saying, hey, whoever wants to get back to me, I'm now interested in finding a job. I haven't been. And it costs, they have some skin in the game, right? So they're not going to do this a lot. But it allows all organizations to kind of like get an alert, like Adam's on the market, get him now. And he's a fit for this job that you posted recently, kind of thing. So that's just the other thing. And then from an onboarding process, IBM is actually working with us on our entire onboarding process. They're on our board of directors and helping us build our corporate app. And the onboarding process we've kind of settled on is to keep things in line with how they're used to doing business. They will contract us for a number of data requests. So they say, we have to hire 300 people. In order to hire 300 people on the platform, it'll cost you $1,000. I'm just using negative numbers for the moment. So we invoice them for $1,000. They have a 30-day payable invoice. We take $1,000 from our treasury bucket for this. We actually market buy that token. The $1,000 necessary in order to satiate the number of minimum data requests that they're contracting us for. We move them into the Fireblocks wallet, and they just log in and use the platform. Right. So from a recruiter perspective, as soon as they receive that invoice, they're going to log in and be able to see that they can start engaging with talent. We receive the payment in 30 days. We can refill that bucket that we used to kind of like buy those tokens off the bat. Another avenue we can also go if need be is we have a pot of tokens on the side that are meant for corporate rewards and purchases. We could also pull from that. So we could pull from the market or we could pull from our treasury, depending on how we want to engage it. If the market is running super hot, we might inflate the market a little bit by adding tokens to the market from the treasury token, from that pot. If the market is stagnant or low, then we can buy them off the market. So we kind of have this decision-making process that we can make to make sure that there's steady growth on the token. Like we're not looking to do this, this kind of thing. It's like these mechanisms will be in place to kind of manage it over time. The other thing I'd like to make a note of is since organizations are not owning the token, they are essentially we're buying the token on their behalf and managing the rewards. If a company doesn't pay their invoice, we take the tokens out of their wallet. So it's like we can manage that. If a company doesn't, if the token goes up in price from there, they get bonus requests. If the token goes down in price, they actually we have the math. I'll put into the white paper of how we create a minimum floor. And then the cost of the data request actually adjusts with the floor, depending on how low over the time of purchase price the token has gone. So the organization never loses the amount of contracted data requests they come to us for. They only get upside on the token and they don't get downside. And we're capping the upside at 5x. So even if a company buys $1,000 of data requests from us on day one, and in a few months they're worth $1 million of market value, they only get $5,000 of data request value out of that. The rest of that value is unsellable. We actually claw those tokens back out of their wallet. So it's this very interesting mechanisms we're creating by having tokens that are used instead of sold, that allow us to kind of play with how those tokens come in and out. But at the end of the day, they're just not being ever market sold, right? So there's never that like looming pressure that there's like, $1 million in this wallet and they could just dump on me at any time.
All right, so they're actually paying. So just so I understand, sorry guys, but they're actually paying you, right? This is the business model. They're paying you, and you're basically taking that subscription or whatever it is, how you actually earned that business, and then you're just tokenizing that by leveraging the tokens that you guys are buying and locking it up.
Yep. And then the organization doesn't care about anything except being able to just elegantly and instantly use the platform, right?
Okay, so just to close this off then, so basically the user, which is the candidate, they have to be a Web3 native, right? Because what you explain is they have to buy the token in order to interact and have their profile on the platform.
No, they don't have to. The candidate doesn't have to buy those tokens. So the candidate can just be like I said, my mom, who has no Web3 experience whatsoever. She finds the app or is engaged with the app from our advertising. She downloads it and she can just create a profile. And it decentralizes their data and it encrypts it and it locks it up into a sort of this decentralized architecture we've created for keeping candidates' data, with them, like they own the key to it. They will receive a data request from the organization. They answer it. They will get tokens into their wallet from answering the data request. So even without buying the token, they will be receiving the token. Now, to answer your next point, I think we're going to go with this, is if non-3 natives are getting tokens, how are they going to get value out of the platform? There's actually 7 different onboarding partners. We've talked offboarding partners who can actually just connect your bank account, almost like Stripe, connect your bank account, and they will facilitate the selling of the token and moving the value into the person's bank account for like a 4% to 5% fee, depending on the company we go with. So that you can instantly kind of get the value out of the token and pull it in their bank account if they'd like to, or we'll give options, more advanced wallet features for them to send it to an exchange or send it to another wallet if they'd like to. But yeah, so we're building this for the non-Web3 natives in every respect. The Web3 natives are going to love it. It's easy to use and it kind of creates this new unique business case for Web3, but the non-3 web native is who we've been doing all of our work with when it comes to our consumer research, company research, and UI UX position. I hope that answers all your questions.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a message on Telegram because I can go on and on. I don't want to.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Love to talk more about it.
Thanks for minding the time. So yeah, we got another raised hand from Dr. Adele.
Yeah, so I love the model. Actually, I have a lot of experience with that. One of my very first unicorn, I engineered an example like that, but it was in healthcare education system.
Great. Called
Access Point. So it's very, very similar to that.
I might ask you more questions on that because healthcare is one of our industries we're going to move into in the future too. The ability to own your medical records, transfer it from hospital to hospital yourself, be asked to for research purposes, all that is you're based off your data. So I would love to learn more about your experiences there in the future.
Yeah, totally. I sold 3 companies into healthcare. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, healthcare mecca. So still have healthcare companies, but I also have AI companies and blockchain companies. So where that goes. But one of the previous point was actually great in terms of removing the friction points. So you could use any of the new wallet abstractions, like the social wallet abstractions. Like, for example, I have one called Horus Wallet. So hit me up on LinkedIn and they can show you how that works. But it basically abstracts the same. You log in with your email and then it manages everything, including the signatures on the back end. What that is good for your token model is you would want to have the people doing the purchases from their own wallets back and forth and moving the points back and forth. And if they do an action, you immediately send it to their wallet in the back of the system. So then you will create a lot of transactions on the blockchain. So people would see that your project actually working. It's not a centralized entity that sends tokens and takes tokens. It's basically a group of wallets.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about it. Well. Let's talk more about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we got also questions in the chat. People wondering, does your system also help with outstaffing?
But yeah, the staffing agencies have actually already lined up to talk to us about utilizing it and being some of our launch partners. We actually, it's funny, when I first had the idea, one of the largest staffing agencies in the world, I pitched their VC and they actually made an offer to have me build this in-house at their organization and told me it's an existential threat to their business model. So they wanted to build it. So I know the staffing agencies really are interested in this business model where I actually think of them more as ultimately we are replacing them. Like we're trying to go after the same thing they do, high fidelity data with speed. And we actually can turn our entire network into like mini recruiters on behalf of an organization by like juicing the rewards in certain respects. Yes, like Upwork. Yeah. So then, so like what you're kind of describing, Philip, is like ultimately what we're doing is we're creating a framework, and we already have the framework created, where people will store their information, and then we decentralize it, they own it, and then we create like search mechanisms to query into that data. And then if people want to share their information, they can, and if they don't want to, they don't have to. And that applies to unlimited industries. So like what you're talking about with like Upwork, it could 100% like disrupt what Upwork has done and how they're doing it. You know, we're starting off in this talent acquisition space because our team is like, and I have it on here, like I sold B2B Fortune 50 companies for 15 years. My co-founder, Joshua, he's got 23 years as a recruiter. So he's more on the user side. So we're building something from the day one that he would use, you know, as a recruiter. We hired a design director who made Monster.com, and like, you know, IBM from Carol Gordon and Jonathan Kestenbaum from AMS are like talent acquisition legends in their respective fields. So like we're building something that is made for is made to like absolutely be an assault on talent acquisition. Where I don't have experience on is things like medical records. I had cancer when at the age of 33, I had to come back at the age of 36, and I'm clean now at 38. But transferring my medical records between hospital systems was an absolute chore. And it shouldn't be that way because it's my data. And I also found out that that HIPAA, who is holding on to my medical records, is reselling my data anonymously to research and making money. It's a $45 billion industry built off my medical data. So there's a use case there, but I don't have the background and team there to necessarily go after that use case on day one, like we do with talent acquisition, like we do with credentialing. So we're going to assault all these, like land and expand in all these other markets. Like a professional athlete who's one of our investors, only that like athlete data is abused from the age of like 12 till he was 26 and he retired. His data was collected. You know, there's other people who are going to be like, selling their data for, or his agent has to be facilitating data. They take a cut. Like there's all sorts of industries that this use case is needed. And we get new ones all the time. Tyler Winklevoss invested in us because we're an assault on the Facebook model. So instead of us being, we sell advertising to somebody else to then like engage with people. Like if you're a golfer, you put in your golfer information. You have validated information on you as a golfer, and then golfing companies can reach out to you if you're a low handicap who spends $5,000 a year on golfing, who, you know, all these attributes about you. And then you watch the ad on golf, you get paid to watch the ad on golf, and you can even buy the product using our token after engaging. So there's unlimited use cases for this. We're just kind of landing and expanding in them over time as we continue to build. The talent acquisition is where we're starting. How do we use to compete effectively eventually with Indeed? We actually don't compete with Indeed, so much so that Indeed's investment team is one of our most likely lead investors for our next round. Indeed is engaged with us. We've been talking to them for many months now, over a year, and their team is actually on the app. So with Indeed, their majority of their capital comes from or revenue comes from job postings, which we're not doing. And so we could actually use the MySTANDARD profile to connect to Indeed and make job recommendations for someone who needs to find a job today. And Indeed can actually use us to build out their Web3 arm, be the Web3 arm for their profiles. It creates more searchable profiles for the Indeed person. And so it's really interesting how we're right by each other, but we're not directly competing. And I actually would fully expect us to have a strong partnership with Indeed in the coming year. But once again, I can't control exactly how it plays out. But we've been talking for many months. We have a really good, they have 90 million unique visitors a month. That's a user base we love to tap into. So we want to make a deal work there that's complementary for both teams. So I hopefully that's I guess it's just something different. It's a little bit something new. And so typically speaking, people in the Web3 space like to have a kind of a breath of fresh air of a use case that is outside of living and dying within the walls of Web3. I hope that's kind of what you got from this. The onion's pretty deep. So if you want to keep the conversations with me, of course, reach out to me, download our white paper and read it, engage. We'll share the pitch deck, of course. But I appreciate you all taking time with me. And if there's any other questions, of course, I'm here. But
I think I've missed this one. So if here's as follows: if you say you're available and receive 0 responses, do you get a refund?
Yes. Yeah, the tokens only leave your wallet when there's action on the other end, right? And that would apply for both people and for organizations. We always say so right now we're gathering up our beta testers and launch partners. So I have a group of companies which are telling me they want to be a launch partner. It's not signed yet, but they're all big brands that people know. And And one thing that we tell them is like, worst case on MySTANDARD is you don't pay anything. You reached out to 10 people, they all said no. Tokens don't expire. The clock isn't ticking for you to use them. You just can use them later, So like that's a very interesting proposition for talent acquisition when under today's contracts, they're like, they usually sign a year within LinkedIn, and every day that goes by, they're not making hires is lost value. And if they go on a hiring freeze, LinkedIn doesn't give them extra time at the end of their contract. They don't care. If you go on a hiring freeze with us, stake your tokens, grow your budget. So it's just like we're just flipping talent acquisition on its head in various ways using DeFi magic, using Web3, but we're not leaning into it. So you'll never hear me say I'm the Web3 for LinkedIn. If you ever hear me say that, I'll give you all my tokens. Okay, I'm never going to say that. We didn't talk about tokenomics. I should talk about that a little bit. I think it makes sense. Given the last few minutes, I think there's always going to be pending questions there. If that's a good place to go, Ivan, you let me know.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap this up because it's really time. We've actually reached 1 hour mark, and yeah, that's great that we are in time. So yeah, again, Adam, thanks for your amazing presentation, for amazing pitch. And Sarah here, by the way. So yeah, it was a pleasure hearing you out, both of you. So yeah, thanks. I think it was amazing. And yeah, let me share our amazing Palo Alto forums as well. So yeah, you can see that. And if you've missed that, please go ahead. And yeah, let's wrap this up. I think, Malika, yeah, we've done a pretty nice job. Thanks everyone participating here. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.